So welcome to Leicester Fan TV. As ever, the minute there is any gossip, views, news, or something like this transfer happens, we'll go live. And here we are. I'm Phil, this is Sam, and we're here to talk about Wilfred Ndidi. We want your views, we want your comments, so let us know in the comments what you think. Sam, I think this is a brilliant bit of signing for Leicester. I know we could argue this both ways, but I'll tell you, I think Wilfred Ndidi, he's 27. He's had plenty of Premier League experience. If we were signing him from another Premier League side, I would be saying what a great signing this is. We've paid not a penny for him. Obviously, we've got wages to pay. But I think as a central defensive midfielder, like we know he should be playing, he is a fantastic signing. What do you think?
Yeah, I think with the options, obviously, we're going to be looking for the best options to buy. Obviously, been a lot of rumours with Ndidi about him. Should we say job hunting first before reconsidering signing for Leicester City. But I think if he's played in his natural position, defensive midfielder, as we saw all those years ago when he was playing as a defensive midfielder and he was linked to clubs like Man United and Barcelona.
Yeah.
Excuse me, only takes, a pretty good season and a good manager to get him get him in the right mood set, the right flow, and get him going again.
I mean, last season, I'll be honest, I thought there was times when he was playing up very high. We questioned it at the start, but it did seem to work for quite a lot of the time. Not always, I don't think Wilfred Ndidi is ever going to be the best person to play that role, but it did work last season for us. But again, I have to say, yes, we were playing teams like Rotherham, QPR. There was a mixed bag of sides. I don't see Ndidi playing that role in the Premier League.
I think he did okay, but I think it's quite a weird, maybe tough thing to rely on him to be the attacking midfielder for us. I mean, who knows? Maybe we will probably look in a few weeks' time and we probably will be saying Ndidi is probably going to be playing in that attacking midfield role, or we are going to sign another attacking midfielder. I guess only time will tell, because we're obviously optimistic that he's going to go back to his natural defensive midfielder role, but I guess I'd say in 3 weeks from today, if we don't see a new attacking midfielder in the club, you could probably assume he's going to be playing that attacking midfield.
Do you think so?
I think if the club don't make any business in the attacking midfield department within the next 3 weeks, I think you'll probably see Ndidi will be playing more of a central attacking midfielder than a defensive midfielder.
I think that's interesting. Let us know if you're watching this live what you think. Wilfred Ndidi has re-signed for Leicester. Let's get a few comments in here. Reed is watching. He says, good signing. Hope he plays in his natural position. I'm 100% with that. I think we've seen enough, Leicester fans have seen enough of Ndidi to know that his natural position is breaking the ball up, winning the ball back, being an extra line of defence when needed in front of the centre-backs. I think that's exactly where we're going to be under the cosh for a lot of next season, or this season. I think Ndidi, when he replaced Kante, we were like, well, maybe he's better than Kante in some ways. I'm not sure he really is over the whole thing, but like Reedy says, has to be in his natural position.
I think so. That's why he's played his best for us. He had a decent season last season, but it was the Championship, so it's a different kettle of fish when he's played at such a high standards pre-injury to come into back. But in the attacking, again, I don't know, but I think it's better than going and signing a new defensive midfielder. I just hope it's worth the money, because it's a 3-year deal. And
yeah,
like I said, 5 other clubs reporting, including Marseille and Monaco.
Matt from MDA Events here. I hope you're well, Matt, says, I think it's great news for us, but let's be honest, he's not got what he wanted wages-wise elsewhere, I think Matt means there, and has come back with his tail between his legs. This is what you were saying.
Yeah,
he has quite clearly been looking around.
But I like Vestergaard. If he was wanting to stay at Leicester immediately, he would have signed the contract presumably around the same time Vestergaard did. But I mean, it's all speculation, but it has sounded like his agent's been job hunting for him. That is probably my biggest worry about signing Ndidi again, is I can only imagine he's going to be on the same wages for another 3 years like Vestergaard, which, again, we're getting penalised, points deduction for players' wages and spending too much money. I am surprised that we've signed Vestergaard and Ndidi. Again, like I said, come January when they have to legally release those documents of the players' wages, I think we'll all be in for a little bit more of a surprise than you might think.
But this is why, I mean, I was more reserved, and I still am reserved about Vestergaard for 3 years, partly because of his age. I think Vestergaard is 32 now. By the time he gets to the end of his 3-year contract, to be 35. Wilfred Ndidi is 27 now, coming on to 28. He signed a 3-year contract from today. If we were to get relegated this time next year, Wilfred Ndidi with 2 years on his contract, suddenly we would be able to sell him, I would say, number one in a year's time. Somebody would.
Yeah,
and I think we'd have to.
Maybe it's smart business from them
I think
to
so.
sell on these players in the years. Obviously, we want to stay up instead of getting relegated, but
I think we've got to bear that in mind now after what we've just been through. You would say it'd be stupid of the club to do the same thing again, i.e. sign players on 2, 3, 4-year contracts on massive wages. And if we got relegated, Dawn says here, thanks for watching, Dawn. She says, great news. He has put pen to paper again. Dean here says, not jumping over the moon, to be honest. Struggled at our relegation season. Had a lot of injuries recently. Just hope his wages aren't ludicrous like last time. I assume the wages are more than decent. An injury has always been that slight question mark with Ndidi, hasn't it?
Yeah, like I said, pre-injury, he was arguably one of the best defensive midfielders in Europe at the time. And you can't deny, you just look at his stuff, like you said, when he came in, he'd be like, bloody hell, he's better than Kante, this player. And we did all think that. And rightly so, he was a very good player. Then he got injured for a long spell, and he's never recovered from that. He's always picked up little injuries here and there and continues to be injury prone. I mean, the championship season alone, I'd probably say in a 10-month season, he probably spent 3 to 4 of those months out injured. So it's a big gamble by the club because you never know. Against Spurs, first 20 minutes, someone might come in and completely wreck his ankle.
That could happen for any player. We could sign Ronaldo and he could break his leg in the first 20 minutes, couldn't he? I know what you're saying. I guess you're saying Ndidi is a little bit more susceptible to injuries.
I think we've got a very good team of players when they're fully fit. But you can look at the facts and you can not look at the facts. And the facts are our best players are also the ones that are very key to get injured quickly, such as Pereira and Ndidi. Like I said, it may not happen, but ever since we've moved to Seagrave, I feel like there's injuries coming out left, right, and centre. So it's hard to tell. But in the past 4 years, probably, I think he probably misses the best part of a quarter of the season, minimum, due to injury.
Well, Andreas says here, we will need him this season. That's why, Andreas and Sam, I think he will play as a central defensive midfielder. At the moment, the way I'm seeing the side shape up, I might be wrong, I'm no tactician, but I'm seeing us playing with 3 centre-backs at the back. And then I think we'll revert back to how we used to play a few seasons ago with flying fullbacks, wing-backs, whatever you want to call them, because I think wing-back, fullback suits Christensen, Luke Thomas, if he's still at the club. James Justin, I think, prefers that role. Ricardo Pereira, sure, he had a good season doing this inverted thing last year, but Ricardo Pereira, for all the previous seasons, has been a flying fullback. So I think we'll play with winger-type fullbacks and then have 3 in the middle, Vestergaard, Faze, Cody, this new centre-back we signed, is it Okole? So we'll have a tight 3 at the back. And then you pop Wilfred Ndidi in front of that, and you go, well, that's defensive, but it's got the potential to spring forward and then get the ball forward to Winks, Mavididi, Fatou Avadi. I quite like the side that we're starting to shape up.
Yeah, I mean, we've obviously played with, I guess you'd say, 2 holding midfielders last season with Winks and Pereira. When they inverted back, it was hard to determine their actual natural positions last season. But I could see us going back to a defensive midfielder. Well, like you said, we'll see. We've certainly got a lot of depth to be moving things around and playing to different styles, and that's what I love about having Steve Cooper, is that he'll know when he needs to change things around. And like you said, I think you're probably right in saying that we're going to have 3 defensive centre backs, and then 2 wing backs, and a defensive midfielder, Winks in the holding midfielder, and then you'll have your attackers / wingers up there somehow. It'll be a weird system. I think usually when you play with wing backs, you don't really play with wingers as well. So it'll be interesting to see how Mavididi and Fatou, once he signs Fatou, how they fit into the system, because we've definitely looking, and especially when looking at signing this Soli guy from Juventus, that we're looking at getting a few more wingers into a more wide attacking players. So whether they push into the middle, because it's not natural usually to play wing backs and wingers at the same time. So I don't really know how we're going to line up for next season. But Ndidi, like you said, you know what he's going to give you at least, and like you say, biggest best thing about this is free.
Yeah, indeed, in there, and again, the reason I think Ndidi is a great re-signing for Leicester is we know as fans what he can do. His fitness and his injuriness is part of the debate, and we've had that. But we know that he can hold his own in the Premier League. So there's other signings that we'll make where you go, well, we won't know until we see them whether they can really handle the Premier League. And I can give you a list of players like Adrian Silva we signed. Could he handle the Premier League? I think there was question marks. Sumari, question marks. Daka, question marks. Ibora, the list. We've got a big list of players. Musa, Slimani. Lots of players we've signed for a lot of money who you go, I really don't think they could handle the Premier League. Wilfred Ndidi can handle the Premier League.
At his best, yeah, he's very good at doing what he does. He's a very quick and I guess you'd say leggy central defensive midfielder. He knows how to win that ball back and be aggressive at pushing it forward through the middle of the park. That's what he did best in I'd say the glory days. Just after winning the Premier League, that's what he was very good at doing, was pushing the ball forward, winning it back, and not overstretching. Someone like Sumari, we've seen many a times overstretch his position. But however, that was Rodgers' decision to play him like that. But he got very out of breath and tired quickly, and he was out of position a lot. But Ndidi he's one of those players that enjoys getting the ball back. I mean, we've got a song after singing it all for him. So he knows what he does best. And for me, we didn't play like that last season, and I hope to see with him back. Obviously, we try and play him back in the defensive midfielder role.
So we've talked about Ndidi. I guess I want to ask everybody who's watching this. We've got a lot of people watching live because it is breaking news that Wilfred Ndidi has signed. So the question to you all who's watching this, just pop in the comments now. Are you happy? Yes, we've signed Ndidi, or are you not? Because there is a few fans saying, I don't think we should have signed him. I'm really happy. I think it's a good signing. We know what we're getting. At his best, he is up there and could play for one of the top European sides. So if we get that Ndidi back, we're more than happy. If he has a pretty average season, we'll still be happy with Ndidi. So if you think you're happy with Ndidi, give us a like or put in the comments yes. If you're not happy, just put a no in there, and we'll come back to that, Sam. I just want to, I know we're here to talk about Ndidi, but we've got a lot of people asking about. Jamie says here, any news on Fatwa? Dean says, what's the Fatwa situation in there? Lots of people asking about Fatwa. My understanding is, I've been told by somebody who's in the know, take it with a pinch of salt, it's done. He signed. The clause was there. It's all done. But the person who's telling me this has no idea why they've not announced it. That's all. But it's all done. But it's like, why not announce it? The lads are back to training, and yet you don't see him in the training photos, do you? Just announce it.
I actually don't know why he has signed. There's only two logical things that I can think of in my mind as to why it's not signed. Number one, he'll be holding the away shirt. And be announced that way. Don't know why, because he's not the player to be holding. If it was someone else, I'd be like, oh wow, new signing and away shirt. But Fatah would be like, okay, thanks for finally announcing it. Or the club just very, I guess, stupid and think, oh well, he signed. Everyone knew he was going to sign. We don't need to announce it. He just is a player. Just like last season, we don't actually need to announce it.
I think when you looking at the squad list on the website,
they've updated the squad list, so players like Drewsbury and whoever went to Wrexham, I forgot his name.
Yeah,
they're out of the men's team. Fatah is still in it, and we've added the new players like Oakley and Bobby Reid as well.
Need to announce Fatah because he is a Leicester player. Everybody knows it, but
it wouldn't surprise me because I know.
But maybe it shows you they're out of touch with the fans, because I think most people watching this, again, put in the comments, we want to see it announced.
Yeah, we do, because obviously he's a lone player, and it's never guaranteed until you see it. But it wouldn't surprise me if, like you said, the club had just been, well, he technically signed the start of last season. We knew that we'd have to sign him on permanent. I don't know.
Yeah, Chris says here Fatua is in the squad on lcfc.com. He is. Yeah, Gray saying maybe he's not back yet. I don't know why he wouldn't be back, because he's not
Back from what?
Yeah, holidays in there maybe. Rye is saying maybe it's a work permit, and that is believable, maybe.
Yeah, maybe they have to wait for some legalities on it, because we saw him this time 2 weeks ago, and his agent posted on his own story that he did sign, or not, didn't. They were at the club.
Yeah,
they were doing photo shoots. They were there 2 weeks ago. So whether it's waiting for visas or something to come through, who knows? But I don't know. It doesn't really make sense. But like you said, if he is training, the club are making it very hard for you to see any photos or videos from there, which makes me think he's not there training at the moment. Whether again that's due to some kind of legal issues where he can't officially train with the club until he's got his permit in. God knows, there's probably A, B, C all the way down to X, Y, Z about it. So
yeah,
you never know.
Not been seen at Seagrove. Certainly in the training, says Dean Sanders there. Dean, I agree. I've been scouring through the pit. Anybody else been looking at the photos where you zoom in on the back to try and say, is that Fatua there? But yeah, I can't see him in there. Mark says here as well, we still need to lose some of the deadwood. Do we still have 5 keepers? I think we have 4 now.
Yeah. Then
Smithers has gone, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He went before the end of the
retired,
season.
didn't he? Because he got injured. Yeah, no, they'll all still be there. No one's going to want Danny Ward. Iverson potentially
I think
could
Iverson
go.
might go out and go on loan.
Well, he's only got a year left on his contract, so
yeah.
I think Iverson. Who was number 2 choice? It was Iverson.
Jacobson or Jacob.
It was.
Yeah, sure. I can't say his name.
But I mean, Danny Ward's never going to go. He's going to sign a new 10-year deal with us, I think.
If I was Danny Ward, I'd stay at Leicester, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I mean,
sign a 10-year deal. Yeah. He won't, but he'd have another year at it. Listen, everybody, I think the big news from this video is we touched on Fatua, but it is Ndidi. Will he stay? Yes, he will.
Yeah,
and he has done. He signed.
I think it's an okay signing. I'm a little bit probably more on the fence about it, just because of his injuries in his past and the wages. For me, I'm just sitting on the fence of I'm not 100% sure. Again, it depends on if he plays every week and he does well, great. But then if he's a rotation player, like bloody hell, it's another probably 80 grand a week that's just not being used at the club. And
I think he will play every week he's fit. I think he's one of those first names on the team sheet for me. And somebody's put in here, I want to put this up there. Ben says here, thanks Ben for your comment. He says sensible decision by the club. Cooper wanted him at Forest last summer. There was a lot of rumours that Ndidi would go to Forest. And he says hopefully Cooper will put him in his best position in the central defensive midfield role, which is what we all say.
If he gets used right and he's back to 100%, I will not be moaning about him. I'm happy that he has decided to stay, regardless of for what reasons he has chosen to stay, because rather than us having to go and sign a new defensive midfielder, if that's what we wanted to.
Listen, it probably is a bit of the moolah that's kept him at Leicester, but he perhaps also looked at the whole setup. I believe I'm right in saying Ndidi went through De Montfort Uni and has done courses there. He's well settled in Leicester. He probably likes the club, the training facilities. Perhaps he's thought, you know what, reviewing what Cooper wants to do, maybe he's. I just genuinely think if he's back in his central defensive midfield role, we've signed a player who, if we'd signed a Wilfred Ndidi from somebody else and paid 20-30 million quid, I think we'd all be very happy.
Yeah, I mean, he didn't come cheap, I don't think. Wasn't he about 15 to 20 million mark? There's still a good player in there. Usually when these players hit 27 odd, that's their peak. That's where they come to their best, and hopefully Ndidi's best is still yet to come.
John says if he can get to the levels like the first 2 seasons, then happy days. Adam, watching on YouTube, says Ndidi worries me. Premier League player for sure, but seems nobody else wanted him. If Mahrez waiting in an airport lounge all over again. Well, it is a strange one, but he is back with Leicester, so I would be, more than happy. Ndidi is a better central defensive midfielder than Winks. Yes.
Yeah, Winks isn't a defensive midfielder.
No, Winks is your central midfielder, isn't it?
If you want to think a player as Winks is your Danny Drinkwater of time.
Yes.
That's who he is. So I think it will allow Winks to be more creative, because last season he was very struck in the defensive.
Well, Winks was playing good at CDM.
So I think Winks is a better central midfielder, a bit what Dennis Pratt has been. He just holds in the midfield, looks for the ping over the top and to the sides.
Yeah. I mean, Ian says we need a creative player. I'm not 100% sure we do. I think Winks is the creative player. In this team, I definitely see us going back to how we were playing more under Claudio Ranieri, defensive, counter-attacking football. That's what the players are saying to me by looking at the players we've got.
It could happen. I wouldn't be opposed to it. Obviously, I'm bored of watching this slow with a better team, possession-based football. I think sometimes you just got to face the facts that we probably will be one of the favourites to go down, if not the favourites.
We are, yeah, we are.
So we need to play our own style of football, and like we've said, was it a blessing in disguise that Enzo left? Because his style of tactics, as we saw at Burnley, it just ran them into relegation, and we know that Enzo wouldn't change his ways. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing some diversity, and hopefully, like I said, Ranieri ball back in the day won us the Premier League because it was different, and we just outplayed teams because we had a better team spirit, I guess. We didn't have the better team on paper, but we were more of a unit than these other teams. So hopefully Cooper brings the team into more of a unit. And we saw it the season we got relegated. The players were arguing for each other almost every match on the field under Rodgers, and it was just toxic. So hopefully that toxicity has now been wiped out. Fresh start in the Premier League. We go again and we'll try to stay up.
Well, Wilfred Ndidi is 27. He's a Premier League quality player. We've seen it. Let's just fingers crossed he stays fit. Same with Ricardo Pereira. We have got a couple of injury-prone players. James Justin as well. A lot of the season will depend on keeping as many players fit as possible, which is a fingers crossed thing with what's been going on the last couple of years.
Yeah. But there's less games to play now in the Premier League.
Yeah.
And if we can see how far we get in the cups, but if we get knocked out early, it's really not an issue.
It's not
just to stay up, isn't it?
It's just to stay up. So listen, thanks everybody for watching. As ever, the minute there is a juicy bit of gossip this summer, we'll be going live. The minute there is a proper signing, the minute Fatwa is there with the shirt, we just need to see it. If anybody from the club's watching, which we know they do, just announce it, and then we can all get on and move on to the next one. But thanks, Sam, for joining me, and thanks everybody for your views and comments. We'll see you at the next show.
Thanks for watching Leicester Fan TV. Thanks to our sponsors, Everod's, Barlow Blinds, Booker Pies, Pink Car Leasing, Distillers Direct, Hologram, Take Me, Nubian Cow, The Fox's Arms and Rainbows. Run by the fans, for the fans. Follow us on socials at Leicester Fan TV and visit leicesterfantv.com for all the latest news, views and videos.